All right, so I think with that, we are going to get started today. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us to learn a little bit more about Fulbright opportunities in Finland for U.S. scholars. My name is Jacqueline Assarian. I'm an outreach and recruitment specialist here at the Institute of International Education for the Fulbright U.S. Scholar Program. I'm joined today by Emma Jelikainen and Lisa Weimer at the Fulbright Finland Foundation, which administers Fulbright programs in Finland. So just a couple of notes before we get started. Throughout the presentation today, if you have any questions at all, we will save some time at the end for questions, but as things come up, you're welcome to enter your questions into the Q&A box, which should appear at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And my colleagues and I will do the best to answer them as we go along, but there will be some that we save for the end of the presentation. And so I'm just going to give a brief overview of the program and then sort of hand things over to Lisa and Emma to review some information specific to Finland and about opportunities that are available there. And then we'll be ready to take your questions. So with that, I think we can get started. And just so everyone is aware as well, the session is being recorded today. So after we wrap, this will be posted within a couple of days to our website at cies.org. And so when you're asking questions, just keep in mind that if we answer them live, those will be included in the recording. All right, so if you found your way to this presentation today, you may already be a little bit familiar with Fulbright. But just to recap, Fulbright is the flagship educational and cultural exchange program of the U.S. government. It's funded generously by the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. And it was established in 1946, so this is our 75th year. It's a banner year, which is something we're quite proud of. And it was founded with a mission which is, a lofty mission, but one that continues to guide our work to this day, which is to foster mutual understanding between nations, advance knowledge across communities, and improve lives around the world. So within the context of the U.S. Scholar Program, the way that we work towards that goal is working in partnership with over 160 countries around the world to offer passionate and accomplished faculty and professionals in really a wide range of fields the opportunity to study, teach, or conduct research and professional projects in countries around the world. Fulbright was really founded at a time when diplomacy really looked like governments speaking to governments. And Fulbright was the first time in U.S. diplomacy where we really just gave people the chance to get to know people. And it was, founded with the idea that that kind of person-to-person exchange is really something that can, help foster mutual understanding around the world. And you hear often as a Fulbrighter that you aren't representing the U.S. government, but you are representing the American people, which is something Fulbrighters usually, take, it's a very big responsibility, but it's a great honor to be able to do that. And so to that end, as, Fulbrighters representing the American people, it's very important to us as an organization to make sure that the American experiences that are represented among Fulbright grantees represents the wide range of experiences that people see here in the United States. So I always just like to let people know that no matter who you are or where you're from in the U.S., there is a space in Fulbright for you. So why is this something that you should pursue? Fulbright can be a transformational experience. And I think any alumni would be happy to tell you about how this really can be transformational for you. It can foster relationships that are real and long-lasting. I think we often hear about the importance of sustainable partnerships, and I think Fulbright is a great way to establish and foster those kinds of relationships around the world. If you're an academic, it can help you expand your publishing network and be more multicultural in the classroom. And it gives you the chance to serve as an ambassador for international exchange and help you gain the professional recognition of joining a vibrant alumni network and being recognized as a Fulbright scholar. Compared to other fellowships, Fulbright is also quite family friendly. Over half of our awards offer some kind of dependent support for grantees who may want to bring a partner or children along with them for their Fulbright journey. And we do see many Fulbright dependents really be just as profoundly impacted by this experience as the grantees themselves, which is great for us to see. And Fulbright is also supportive. Over 70% of applicants engage with me and my colleagues during the application process, and we continue to support you while you're in country, as well as the support provided by country staff like my colleagues at Fulbright Finland Foundation. And as I mentioned, the alumni network is quite large after 75 years of the program, and you'll find many are very willing to talk about their experience. So you do have access to alumni as a resource as well. In terms of scope, the Fulbright program is really quite unmatched, actually, among fellowships, funding over 8,000 awards annually around the world for U.S. and visiting students and scholars, as well as administrators and artists. Since 1946, over 400,000 people have taken advantage of these opportunities, so we're glad to tell you a bit more today about specific opportunities in Finland that are available to you. So who can take on these opportunities? So just wanted to touch quickly on eligibility for the U.S. Scholar Program, and also to clarify as well, because I know we have quite a few participants today, which is great. The awards I'm talking today are specific to the U.S. Scholar Program, and so if you are, which are faculty, professionals, and people a bit more advanced in their career. If you are a current student who's looking for Fulbright opportunities, you're welcome to put a question into the Q&A box, and I can share that information with you. But for any awards that you'll apply for, U.S. citizenship is a requirement, and specific awards also look for a certain level of degree and experience. There are many that require a PhD or another terminal degree, such as an MFA, but there are others for which an MA in higher education teaching experience is sufficient. And there are also awards specific for where for professionals or professionals or artists, substantial accomplishments in their field is also acceptable. We do also look to make sure that you comply with policies on previous Fulbright Scholar Awards and the waiting time between grants. This policy has changed a bit over the years, so you may have heard different things at different times. The current guidance is we look to make sure that 2 years have elapsed between the end of your previous grant and the application for your next grant. So most of the grants that we're talking about today are, the applications are due September 15th, 2021. So in order to meet this eligibility requirement, you will need to have finished your previous grant by September 15th, 2019. So just something to keep in mind. And some things to consider before you're applying. So if you meet the eligibility requirements and you think this is something that really could be for you, just some things to consider. How could this potentially benefit you professionally and personally? Is there something? What are the potential benefits you can see in different realms of your life by being able to spend some time, working abroad? If you plan to take your dependents with you, how could you make this work for your family, and what benefits could they have as well? And if you're affiliated with an institution here in the United States, to think as well about the impact that this experience that you personally have could also bring to your home institution here. And for any of you who are affiliated with academic institutions, there are often support mechanisms in place to help faculty and staff who are seeking these kinds of opportunities. And so throughout the application process, Fulbright staff here at IIE, as well as at the Commission in Finland, can certainly assist you, but it's always good, when you're applying for something like this, it's always good to use all of the resources that are available to you. And so that's just something to look for as well, because there may be more available to you than you think. And how to select the right award. So Fulbright, throughout every year, publishes all of the awards that are available, which Emma and Lisa are going to speak about in a minute. But it's always good to just, some people may have very specific things they want to do, so it's very obvious to them which award is right for them, and there are others for which, multiple awards might be a good option. So just to think about how what you plan to do might match with, your interest in the country, as well as expertise you have, the career profile, your career profile, as well as the, just what is being requested in the award description. The language ability, if that's applicable, which I believe for Finland, most things can be done in English, but that's just something to be aware of when you're looking at opportunities. discipline preferences, as well as the relevance of your project to the host country or the host institution. And also, again, to just think about the benefits to you and your community. I think the potential for impact is a really big piece, actually, in the application process for Fulbright U.S. scholars. And so that's something I've already mentioned it a few times. I'm sure I will mention it again, but I always like to make sure that applicants have that in the front of their mind when they're considering these kinds of opportunities. So with that, I would like to turn things over to Fulbright Finland Foundation to just talk in greater detail about, about the Fulbright Commission in Finland and the kinds of awards that are available this year for U.S. scholars.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. We are so happy to join you all this evening in Helsinki. It's actually during the day in DC, so a warm welcome from Helsinki. I'm Lisa Weimer, the Assistant Director for Strategic Partnerships and Initiatives at the Fulbright Finland Foundation. And I work with the Distinguished Scholar Program, which we will highlight a little later in this webinar. I'm also an alumna of the Fulbright Finland Foundation. I came here on the U.S. student program to do my field work for my PhD, and I never left. So when I talk to you about Fulbright Finland, I speak from the heart. So the Fulbright Finland Foundation offers a variety of unique grant opportunities for U.S. scholars to undertake research and or lecturing projects. And they range from a period of 1 to 12 months. There are a total of 15 award categories for U.S. scholars for different purposes and academic disciplines in Finnish institutions. Most of these awards are co-funded together with Finnish universities and other organizations. And housing is paid for by the host institution in all awards, except for the Mid-Career Professional Development Award. Finland has two types of higher education institutions. First, there's universities. So universities focus on scientific research and connect research with the education that they provide. Universities offer bachelor's, master's, and doctoral level programs. Universities of Applied Sciences, UAS, offer professionally oriented bachelor's and master's degrees. And these institutions have really strong ties with working life and also regional development. So let me tell you a little bit about our service promise. We offer advising and guidance during the application process. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact Emily or I. We also offer guidance during pre-arrival and throughout the grant term. We coordinate enrichment activities for all grantees. So once you arrive in country, we invite you to an orientation. We have special events and seminars throughout the year. And these events really help to facilitate a community feeling among all of our grantees. We also have a very active alumni network in the U.S. and in Finland. Grantees have several opportunities to meet and connect with alumni throughout their grant term. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk to you about Finland itself. Coming to Finland is quite an adventure. In the winter, you will experience short days and all sorts of winter activities and sports. If you go north to the Arctic Circle, you may even be fortunate enough to witness the Northern Lights. In January, we increase our daylight by 6 minutes a day in Helsinki. So the days get longer very quickly. So today, for instance, we had sunrise at 4:05 in the morning, and sunset is at 10:33 this evening. Finland has been named the happiest country in the world by the UN World Happiness Report for the last 4 years. And so we warmly welcome you to apply to one of our U.S. Scholar Awards. Next, we will go through some examples of awards offered to U.S. scholars for research, lecturing, and professional projects. And my colleague Emmy will get us started. You can go to the next slide, Jacqueline.
Right. Hello, everybody, and welcome on my behalf as well. So we wanted to start by telling you a little bit about our newest and very timely award opportunity that is called the Seeking Solutions for Global Challenges Award. So this award was created in 2019 to support our foundation's motto, Together Shaping the Future, and our vision to empower the minds that will find global solutions to tomorrow's challenges by fostering academic and professional expertise and excellence in leadership. So for this award, we are looking for people who want to impact the future and make a difference through their work. And the first application round for this award was opened for the academic year 2020-21. So the first selected grantees are arriving to Finland this year. And the award is meant for U.S. scholars and professionals who want to come to Finland to work on projects focusing on topics of current and global importance. And when creating this award, we wanted to make it as flexible as possible. So it's available for any field and to any appropriate Finnish institution. And the length of the visit should be something between 2 to 6 months. But there's also a flex option, so the visit can be divided into 2 shorter segments as well. And in the award description, we have listed some possible focus areas, such as global health, sustainability, climate change, cybersecurity, migration, and humanitarian crisis, etc. But these are just some examples, and the project can also focus on other topics of current and global importance. Next slide. Then we also have the All Disciplines Award that is open for academics for teaching projects or projects combining teaching and research. And in this category, research-only grants are not possible, but the applicants can discuss the teaching research ratio with their host institution. So the teaching component can be just separate lectures, or it can be entire models, or then entire courses. But this is up to the applicant and the host institution to decide what is suitable for the visit. And this award also has the flex option, so it's possible to divide the visit into 2 shorter segments. And then Lisa will continue about our Distinguished Scholar Awards.
Next slide. We have 5 Distinguished Chair Awards, and these are the most prestigious awards for U.S. scholars coming to Finland. So, for instance, the first one, the Bicentennial Chair Award, includes housing in the Bicentennial Residence, and it is a 9-month teaching research award at the University of Helsinki. The next 2 distinguished chairs are specific discipline-based awards, and they're both hosted by universities, Aalto University and Honken University. And then we have the Fulbright Nokia Distinguished Chair, and this is available for any Finnish institution. So you can look at any Finnish university or University of Applied Science, and if you get a host letter, then you can apply for this particular award. And finally, the Fulbright Saastamoinen Foundation Award is quite unique because it's a joint partnership between the Fulbright Finland Foundation, Saastamoinen Foundation, and the University of Eastern Finland. It is available for 2 one-month visits over 2 consecutive academic years. Emily, next slide.
Yeah, so then in addition to the Distinguished Scholar Awards, we also have many other partnership awards for U.S. scholars. And as you can see, there are awards that are open for all scholars, including early career, but also awards that are meant for scholars with more experience. And the first one, Fulbright Haaga-Helia Scholar Award, is meant for teaching at the undergraduate and graduate level at the Haaga-Helia University of Applied Sciences. So this is a great opportunity to visit a University of Applied Sciences that provides education and conducts research that ties closely into professional working life. And this award is mainly meant for teaching, but the scholar will also participate in the ongoing research and development activities at Haaga-Helia. And the award can be awarded to any field represented at Haaga-Helia. And the fields offered include, for instance, tourism management, communication, international business, hospitality, and vocational teacher education. Then we have the Fulbright Tampere University Scholar Award that is open to all disciplines. And Tampere University is one of the biggest and most multidisciplinary universities in Finland. And its strength lies especially in its research and teaching on technology, society, and health. And the Tampere University is the largest educator in the fields of social and administrative sciences in Finland. Then we have Fulbright Turku U.S. Scholar Award. That is another great opportunity to visit a Finnish University of Applied Sciences. And this award is meant for teaching mostly at the master's level in the fields of business administration or engineering and technology. And then Fulbright University of Turku Scholar Award is also open for all disciplines. And University of Turku has 8 faculties that are education, humanities, law, medicine, science, social sciences, technology, and School of Economics. And in addition, research activities and learning takes place in 5 independent units, such as Turku Bioscience Center. And actually on this application round, there is also an additional grant available under this category for Invest Research Flagship of the Academy of Finland that has research groups in sociology, psychology, and child psychiatry. Then we have 3 awards that are meant for senior level scholars. The first one is Fulbright Saastamoinen Foundation Grant in Health and Environmental Sciences that offers an opportunity for lecturing and research visits at the University of Eastern Finland. And then the second one is Fulbright University of Vaasa Scholar Award. And this one is meant for research in the business and technology-driven University of Vaasa. And then lastly, we have the Fulbright VTT Award in Science, Technology, and Innovation that is meant for conducting research at the VTT Technical Research Center of Finland. Next slide. And then in addition to our Scholar Awards, we also have grant programs for professionals. For example, the Mid-Career Professional Development Program is unique for Finland, and this has been a very popular program among professionals from different fields. And this award is aimed for mid-career professionals in various fields to grow their professional expertise and also to gain new insights through a project related to their profession. And during their visit, the grantees can conduct a professional development project in one or more host organizations in Finland, and then bring back something new to their field in the U.S. And the project may include, for instance, studies, practical experience in actual operations, visits to organizations, public lectures, or other appropriate professional experiences. And then we have 2 other categories that are open to professionals as well. The Seeking Solutions for Global Challenges Award that I was talking about earlier, and then also the Fulbright VTT Award in Science, Technology, and Innovation is open for professionals as well. All right, thank you. Jacqueline, maybe you can continue.
Of course, yeah, sorry, I had to unmute. So thank you so much for reviewing all of that. It's incredibly helpful. And I can see definitely going to have some questions at the end, but I think I always appreciate giving applicants the chance to hear about these kinds of awards straight from the source at the commission. So thank you. So we've talked a lot about applications and applying. So what exactly do we need from you for an application? I think for a Fulbright application, what's required is actually fairly straightforward. We look at the application materials are an application form, which is fairly simple. A project statement, which is really your main section of your application to present what you plan to do, how you plan to do it, and your justification for you as a scholar to be the person or professional, to be the person to carry out this project in Finland. Also looking for a current CV, 2 letters of recommendation, as well as a letter of invitation if that's required for your award. And if you're planning to teach, we also look for course outlines or syllabi, which are really intended to be just examples of how you organize a class and how you would present information. So they don't necessarily need to be for the classes you propose to teach in Finland. If you have those syllabi, you're welcome to share them, of course, but they're really meant to be examples of how you'd organize a class. If you're planning to research, also a select bibliography that's related to your field. And for artists, architects, and journalists, we also ask for portfolio submissions of recent work. And I did want to just review the application cycle. So once you've put all those materials I just described together, just what exactly happens to them. So the applications opened this year in February, so we're about mid-cycle right now. The application deadline is September 15th. Many applicants ask if there is a benefit to you applying early, and I would say not necessarily, much beyond your peace of mind. Nothing will be reviewed before September 15th, but I do always recommend, if your schedule allows you to plan to submit, maybe in early September, just in case, you never know what's going to happen. So, maybe if you have a technical issue or if something you are waiting for is missing, that gives you a little bit of cushion time to resolve any issues that might still be pending. From there, the IIE staff here in the U.S. will review applications really from a technical perspective, just to make sure that they're complete and that you're eligible for the award for which you've applied. From there, applications go to U.S. peer review panels who used to meet in D.C. Of course, they're virtual this year. So those peer review committees are composed of Fulbright alumni that are in your field or in a related field. And then at that point, it's determined whether or not you're recommended for an award, which basically means you've been shortlisted for an award. The committee would, recommend you for Fulbright funding. And so you'll be notified of that. Those committees meet throughout the fall, and you will be notified of the result of that review, usually by November, December, January, really at the latest. And then from there, your applications are then sent to Fulbright in Finland for them to also conduct an in-country review. And so the result of their review, as well as final approval from the U.S. Department of State's Fulbright Foreign Scholarship Board, will ultimately determine who is offered grants through the Fulbright U.S. Scholar Program. Those decisions are made really throughout. I know January through April is a wide range, but I think we see globally a wide range of just dates of when we receive those decisions. I do think Finland was definitely not on the later end this year, but it does vary. So just to keep that in mind when you're making your plans. But hopefully, if all goes well, you're recommended, and then you're ultimately selected. And from May onwards, you can prepare for your departure. And so that's what I have to officially present to you today, as well as Lisa and Emma. But I did want to reserve as much time at the end to answer questions, because we do have some questions that have been coming in. And again, we'll be here for about the next 30 minutes. But after today, if you have questions, you're always welcome to reach out to us at scholars@iie.org. as well as following us on various social media, just to get an idea, which can, be a good way to just get an idea of just what's going on in Fulbright, and also to, and that can also maybe give you ideas for your own proposal as well. And one more thing I wanted to, if you'll bear with me for just a moment. Well, actually, I just wanted to pull something up to share, but while I do that, I was hoping if you all, Lisa and Emma, could answer a couple of questions that have come in the question box. There have been quite a few questions about arranging housing. There are some awards, as you know, where it's up to the host institution to maybe arrange housing. There are others where the scholars themselves are intended to arrange it. And I just don't know if you could share a little bit more about, how that may work, and if the Fulbright Commission in Finland has any resources that they usually share with scholars when they're trying to make those arrangements.
Emmy, it looks like a lot of these questions have to do with the mid-career development project, the awards. Do you want to speak about the housing for that particular awards program?
Yeah, so in the mid-career professional development program, the grantee should arrange the housing for himself. So we usually recommend that the grantees contact the host institution, and they may be able to give some advice and help where to search for apartments, but it's not required in this category for them to arrange the housing, but sometimes they are able to help. Yeah, so that was about the mid-career professional development program. And in other categories that we have, the housing is arranged by the host institution.
Yeah, and then there's a question about the Fulbright Vasa Scholar Award. And there's two specific questions, but I'm wondering if this is so detailed to that award. I'm wondering if this individual might contact Emmy outside of this, because they're talking about the dean that's concerned about the financial burden on the school. So maybe that's something that you would want to speak with Emmy about outside of this webinar. And then there was also concern about free housing from the VASA perspective. So yeah, we would encourage you to definitely reach out to Emmy about that one. Let's see what other ones are on here. This is an interesting one. Eric Braunman says, as a high school teacher in New York City, I'm assuming that I would be applying for the mid-career professional development Fulbright, or is there another category with which I would apply under? And regarding housing, yeah, another question about housing. Emmy, do you want to take that one as well?
Sure. Yeah. As a high school teacher, yeah, it's possible to apply for the mid-career program. Of course, it depends a little bit on the project, what you're planning to do in Finland, because then there's also this distinguished awards in teaching program that might be possible for teachers. But you can also contact me, and we can discuss more about the project and if it's suitable for the mid-career professional program.
There's another interesting question here about the language requirement. Do we have to know the Finnish language to apply? And you do not need to know how to speak or read Finnish. We, of course, encourage you to learn kind of the basics when you come here, but the two official languages of Finland are Finnish and Swedish, and English is widely spoken as well.
There have been a couple of questions as well about whether or not you can apply for more than one award. That's a question I think we receive every day here at the Scholar Program. You do have to choose one. So you can only apply for one award per application cycle. So it's just something to keep in mind. Someone else also asked about whether or not support, if you're at an academic institution here in the U.S., of whether or not your home institution support is required. I do think many, especially if you're a faculty member, many people will try to align a Fulbright grant with a sabbatical simply because that's the most straightforward way to be away from campus. However, that is not a requirement by any means. I know I have seen many grantees be able to make arrangements with their home institutions here to accommodate for their time away if you maybe are not up for sabbatical anytime soon. So that's something I would encourage you to just, everyone's relationship with their home school is a bit different, and how schools handle this can vary pretty widely as well. But I think it is good to see what other Fulbright alumni have done at your home institution to arrange this time away from campus. And so
there's also here for the project statement, would I link with someone at the host institution first to know what is feasible? I'm unclear how to approach this. And I think when these questions come to Emmy and I, what we suggest is, try to find someone who you want to work with. So if you already know the institution that you want to look at, then do some research on the website, get to know who's there, what they're working on, and then you can just send an email of interest and let them know who you are and what you're interested in doing and see if there's some synergy there, because that's what you need. For many of our awards, you do need a letter of invitation.
Yeah,
and then
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that in some universities we have these Fulbright contact persons. So you can also let me or Lisa know if you have a Finnish university in mind, and then we can check if there is a Fulbright contact person there who might be able to connect you with some relevant people, relevant faculty members at the university.
Yeah, and that's what I think IAE staff would recommend as well. And I think particularly if it's required, that means it's necessary for your application to proceed. Or in other words, your application is incomplete without a letter of invitation. So it's something that you need. But I do find for awards where the letter of invitation is required, that really can be quite helpful to have while you're putting your project statement together, to just know that what you're proposing is something something that your host institution is willing to host you for. You may be serving a need at their institution that's really valuable. So I think so that can help in that way too. And someone asked about how many awards there are per category. So on each award, that's actually a good segue. I'm just going to share my screen very quickly. I wanted to show you a couple of resources that are available to you all here. Just a moment. Sorry about that. Can you see the Fulbright homepage? Okay. Yeah, so everything after today, most of the information you would be looking for at the, for the U.S. Scholar Program is contained in this website here. So you'll see our homepage is CIES.org, and CIES is the division of IIE that administers the U.S. Scholar Program. So you'll find there's a separate tab for U.S. scholars. So if you follow that link, that will take you to this page, which has a lot of really valuable information as you're navigating the application process. It has an overview for you to kind of look at different types of awards that are available, all the eligibility materials, or excuse me, eligibility requirements that I mentioned earlier are listed here with more specific explanations. Review criteria, which I know sounds like very basic advice when you're applying for a grant, but just to make sure that what you put forward addresses all of these criteria very clearly, because this is used in the review process. Also, the timeline of awards that I explained is mentioned here, so you can refer to it. And importantly, I find this tab to be the most helpful, or it seems to answer the most questions that we receive. Just gives you, just a walkthrough of the application procedure, and importantly, much more pointed guidance on the different components of the application, as well as instructions for the application itself. So for example, for a project statement, which is of course a very important, I'd say a critical piece of your application. If you click on these arrows, each of the materials are explained in much better detail. And this can really be a helpful guide while you're putting your materials together. So I like to let people know that that's there. And if you click on this link as well, it will get you to the catalog of awards, which you'll find here. And so all of the opportunities that are available in this application cycle are listed here. And so today, of course, we're talking about Finland. So just again, after today, if you want to refer to any of the materials that we presented, if you search by Finland, this will pull up all of the awards for which Finland is a possible location. So you'll be able to, make your way to specific awards this way. Just to show you what information you'll find is, the award you're looking at, of course, the deadline, the type of activity that you can do for this all disciplines award. You can teach or do a combination of teaching and research, whether or not a PhD is required, the type of career profile that they're looking for. In this case, you can see it's quite open to all levels of academics, the number of recipients for this award, which you can see are up to 6. And also, after today, if you need to get in touch with someone at IIE to ask a question, I am the contact for Finland. And so you'll find my contact information listed on all of the Finland awards as well. So, this is just wanted to let you all know how you can find this information after this webinar is done. And also, just a quick plug, I mentioned earlier that this is the 75th year of the Fulbright program, and so we have this website, which is fulbright75.org, to just, really celebrate the program. And also there's a lot of alumni stories that are shared. And besides, commemorating this anniversary year for us, I find for applicants, this can actually be a resource, because a lot of the content on this website is news and events, as well as alumni stories. And of course, these are alumni from around the world, or that went to around the world, but it can actually, I don't know, I do find some applicants can kind of get ideas of the kinds of projects that people have taken on, and what has, and this can maybe be some inspirational material for you. So thanks for taking a pause. I just wanted to show you all what those resources are, and I'm happy to put those in the chat before we end today. So we can go back to questions.
Yeah, there's a question here, a follow-up question from Wendy. And I think this is actually really important to point out. She says that I'm aware that a letter is needed with an institution in Finland, but I believe that I read that during the summer there may be a long delay. And how do we navigate getting this letter in time? And this is actually very important for applicants to know that Finland traditionally has a summer holiday, and that is July. And pretty much most academics, universities, even the Fulbright Finland Foundation office, we shut down for a portion of July. So if you're trying to muster up a letter of invitation in July, you're going to have quite a difficult time. So we suggest getting a hold of individuals before July. Otherwise, you will have to wait until August, which is pushing the deadline. So we encourage you to get on that sooner than later.
And speaking of, there are quite a few questions about just invitations. If someone had a question about just identifying contacts who serve as educators in the specific specific context, particularly for maybe an all disciplines award or something like that, is it appropriate for applicants to reach out to the commission to just for assistance in identifying contacts in a certain field?
Yeah, I mean, we get a lot of those types of emails, and also what Emily said, you can go on and see who the contact is for the university as well. So normally that's kind of a better way to get some names, some actual names of individuals by contacting the institution itself. But yeah, we can help you navigate that.
Yeah. I mean, particularly for the more open awards, like the All Disciplines Awards, where it might not be, specific to an institution, I think that kind of support is really valuable.
And then there's a question here, summer letter follow-up question, is June already too late? So we have midsummer on, I believe it's the 24th or 23rd this year. 24th, is that right, Emily?
24th, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So once the 24th comes, many people start to kind of go in summer holiday mode. So if you can do it before the 24th, that's highly recommended.
Yeah, the sooner the better. Then I think I saw a few questions about successful projects in the Seeking Solutions for Global Challenges Award and also the Mid-Career Professional Award. I can post a link to our website in the chat. So there you can see the selected grantees listed for the next academic year. So you can check that list to see what kinds of projects have been successful.
Yeah, there's also a question here, are higher ed institutions in Finland following COVID precautions at this time, and what is anticipated for next academic year? So this year, just like in the U.S., we've been riding the roller coaster ride of institutions opening and closing. Right now, most institutions are remote, but I mean, it really depends on the institution, the department, what's actually happening there. But what I can do is I can also type, I'll send you a link in the chat, and you can follow the COVID situation in Finland. So this is the national perspective of what's going on with COVID right now in Finland, just to give you kind of some context. But you can find, if you know the institution where you're going to, you can, I think on every institution's website, there's information about what's happening with COVID and if the institution is online or hybrid. So I encourage you to go to the websites to check that out.
Someone also asked a question as a faculty member at a predominantly, at a more teaching focused institution, and whether or not that they might be at a disadvantage having had a career that was more dedicated to teaching versus research. Actually, we get that question quite regularly, and Fulbright is open to scholars at a really wide range of institutions in the United States. We have people who are independent or unaffiliated, people who might be at teaching focused institutions, even at community colleges who end up receiving awards. And so one thing I will say that it would put you at a disadvantage, I think, if you were applying for a research award. But if your main professional focus here in the U.S. in education has been teaching, and you're applying to teach while you're in Finland. I don't know if Lisa or Emma, you have different advice, but I think as long as you're proposing to teach during your Fulbright Award, I think you would actually be well suited to teach abroad.
Yeah, I agree. And there are actually several grant programs that are for mainly for teaching projects. Then there's a question again about the mid-career professional development program. Are there options other than universities to do Fulbright? So in the mid-career professional development program, it doesn't have to be a university. It can be almost any institution or organization in Finland. And if you are unsure if the institution is eligible, you can always contact me and I can check if that's okay. But we've had people visiting museums in that category. We've had artists here, and then so it can be almost anything, and it doesn't have to be a university in that category.
And someone also asked about the multi-country award, which is the Global Scholar Award. While Finland is an eligible destination for people who are applying through that award, it is kind of administered a bit separately as a global opportunity. But in order to pursue that award, you were asking, or the question was about letters of invitation. And for the Global Scholar Award, which is, sorry to let everyone know what this is, what I'm talking about. Like I said, the awards we talked about today were specific to Finland. There is a particular award within the U.S. Scholar Program that allows people to pursue projects that are, not specific to one country or even one region. So, and the Global Scholar Award is that award. So it allows scholars to pursue projects that take them to 2 to 3 countries that span at least 2 different world regions. And so someone who joined us today was hoping for Finland to be one of those one destination for their Global Scholar Grant. But a letter of invitation for that specific award, a letter of invitation is required by your hosts in all of the countries that you would visit. So I would, you would need to, the question is it possible to connect with Finnish universities to obtain a letter of invitation? And I would say the answer to that is you need to contact Finnish universities to arrange that invitation. And whether, there's also a question of whether or not they might be, a Finnish university might be amenable to having a short-term stay. I think that is something you should absolutely discuss in great detail with the potential host. For that award, a minimum of 1 month must be spent in each country. So that is the shortest stay that you could have as a global scholar.
And then there's a question about rejected application. If they apply and they do not receive the award, can they submit that application again for future?
Yeah, and you definitely can, and particularly for applications who, if you were recommended and perhaps not ultimately selected, if you were recommended, that does mean that what you put forward was strong. The peer review committee here in the U.S., reviewed your application and deemed it to be, worthy of receiving Fulbright funding. And so it's always good to go back and tweak. But if that's the case, you could still have a good chance of being considered. If you were not recommended, meaning you did not make it through that first phase of review, that to me indicates that you do still have a bit of work to do to strengthen your application. And you're welcome to reach out to, if you're interested in Finland, you're welcome to reach out to me. I can point you to some resources that we have to help you maybe strengthen your application for another round. But we do absolutely see many people who apply once, not unsuccessfully, and then apply again with a similar project that are ultimately selected. So I know you obviously apply for grants because you want to be selected, so it can be a bit discouraging, but just to keep in mind that there are many people each year who apply again and are accepted on the second or even third try.
And then there's one about there's a university being the official host, but then they're also going to be working with a government agency. So would it strengthen the application if the government agency jointly signed the invitation letter? And I have seen this in some applications. I do think it further supports your application. It lets us know that you do have support from not only the host institution, but also, if you're working with somebody outside of that sector. So if they're amenable to doing that, that is a possibility.
So would you recommend then having an applicant in that scenario submit 2 invitation letters, or simply have their invitation letter from the university refer to that part of their activity?
I think what I've seen is 2 separate letters of invitation, but Emmy, what have you seen when it comes to this kind of joint work?
Some people add 2 separate letters in their application, but it's I want to emphasize that it's important to be clear in those invitation letters which one is the kind of the main host, and then if the other one is just that you're going to make a shorter visit there. I would say that it's if you are visiting other institutions as well, it's nice to have invitation from them as well, but it should be clear which one is the main host.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. And just to be respectful of everyone's time, it is exactly 1 p.m. here in DC. I think that is, and we've answered most of the questions. So I think that is a wrap for us today. I'd like to sincerely thank both of you, Lisa and Emma, for taking the time to join us today and talk a little bit more about opportunities in Finland. And I would like to thank all of you who participated today for taking some time out of your day to learn more about Fulbright in Finland. As I've mentioned, I am the contact at IIE for these awards, so you should not hesitate to reach out to me. My contact information is listed on all of the award descriptions for Finland. But I look forward to working with you all as you navigate the application process and hopefully help you submit come September. So thank you again for joining us. And as I mentioned, this webinar was recorded, so an archive copy will be available on our website, hopefully within a couple of days. So thank you.